earphones, or is it the same?
No, everything sounds better.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
All right. So
By the way, I think this chapter is going to be less to discuss than the first one.
you said it one more time.
I think this chapter is going to be less, or is it less like to discuss than the first one. I think the first one was like more points to discuss than this one. Well, what was it?
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and get started. You have any questions?
No.
Hold up. Is there feedback?
No, it's fine.
Maybe it is me. Hold up. Testing.
It works for me.
All right.
Does it work? Yeah. We are live right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working now.
Do you know if people is watching right now?
Probably not.
Okay. Less pressure.
Oh, it's never no pressure. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, testing. All right, I was getting feedback, that's why. All right, cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it, and it's Laura.
Yeah. It's getting better.
Okay, what am I saying wrong?
La.
Lara.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Lara Legos.
Yes.
Okay.
Very well. Very well. I was looking to the video, and my poster in the first video was looking weird.
I mean, that's what happens when you watch yourself recorded. You just see everything you do wrong, and you're just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, because I was like this, and now I'm like just trying to put myself right.
Now I had to, when I was editing the video, I had to like cut off the angle because it was
You see too much.
You had it like in the rectangle. So when I was editing, I had to like cut off like half your ceiling.
Yeah, because I'm using my phone, so
Yeah.
that's why. Should I use it this way?
No, it looks better. It looks great, actually. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, yeah. Let's not touch it because
It's a
it
little
can break.
to the left though, but there you go. Boom. All right.
It's, okay, wait.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it's slightly better.
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to Teachable Podcast. We focus on providing simple solutions in the classroom. I have my sister, Laura Legros, and she is here with me. She is the numbers specialist, giving you the data. Welcome back. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Everything good there?
I'm good. Did I get it right this time?
It's going to take practice, but you're fine.
Legros.
Yes.
Boom. Okay.
Lara.
I think what happened was I got nervous because it was like the icebreaker, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're messing up, and I messed it up. Yeah, that's usually how it works for me. Sorry.
That's all right.
Icebreaker. But we're here to not talk about her wonderful name, but we're here to talk about Dr. Claud Anderson wonderful book, PowerNomics. Thank you so much for doing last episode. Very, very in depth.
Thank you.
Very great. I hope you find it very fruitful and informative, everybody, because it was dope. And so we're going to keep it with chapter 2 today. All right. And what is the name of chapter 2 for this brother man's book? What's the name?
The keys to empowerment.
Cool, cool. So the keys to empowerment. So I kind of jumped the gates last episode because I read a little bit ahead. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and I'm gonna give you the alley. I just want you to dunk it. So what was your first impressions of the second chapter from Dr. Claud Anderson's PowerNomics, The Keys of Empowerment?
I think it was very interesting because in this chapter, he breaks down like what it is a possible solution and the like how we need to break down from the box that we have at the moment of like this fighting for like, oh, we want to be recognized, we want to have more opportunities. He doesn't see it that way. He sees more like we need to have the awareness of like what is happening in the community, but also we need to work with the tools that we already have and also the ones that they are going to be given to us, you know, hopefully. No, the tools that they are going to be given to us, but the space for us to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So he talks about ethno-aggregation. It is, for me, you know, it's just like you all on one accord, one frequency as a people, as Black people, and you stick together, organization. And then he talks about also vertical integration. And the key word is vertical, right? Vertical means you're going up.
Yeah.
Compares that to the horizontal integration of, say, success or gaining wealth in this country where everything's equality, right? It's equal playing field. But we know that's not how it works, right? You have to be at a specific level and you have to hit one of those thresholds. One of those thresholds is economics, right? He talks about, you know, how certain communities, certain cultures will come into the United States, well, only just 30 years, but because they use vertical integration, they're able to establish so much other social capital. But I don't want to jump ahead. But yeah.
And I think like I highlighted a couple of things, but one of the things that he said, and I really like, it was at the beginning. He said something like, we have matured politically and economically, and will neither love nor treat any other group better than we love or treat ourselves. And I think that is like, yes, that is exactly what we have to do. And one of the parts like we need to be, you know, aware is that we shouldn't fall into like the competition. We should just like push our own agenda and journey as a community, but never disregard like what other communities are doing right, you know, because then we cannot learn. And there are like a lot of communities that they are established already and they are successful. And we should like praise when it is done well and also like integrate some of like those success stories into our when we are building our own community, if it is in North America, in the US, or if it is like in Europe. So that I think it is very important that we need to acknowledge our love without having to like, you know, disregard others.
Yeah, Malcolm X said, you know, before we, you know, worry about everybody else, we got to worry about ourselves, and then we can do that. And I think it's just a, I feel like capitalism, like super, super, it's just a general key to all of this, right? He talks about the example, I don't know if you read it, in Detroit about the gas stations, right? And you know, and that's real. You know, I live right around the corner. I live in Detroit, and they're not, you know, African American. And he said 90% of all the gas stations in Detroit are owned from, you know, people of the Middle Eastern of descent, Arab. And he talks about how, you know, they've used that capital, right, to gain legislation that they did with Al Gore. And with only 30 years, right? And he said that Detroit is 85% Black, but they don't own a fraction of the gas stations, right? Which is a corner store. That is the, you know, like the gas station is like where a lot of people get their meals from.
Right. Okay, that's interesting.
No, seriously, like the gas station, like my kids, right? Before they come to school, they always go to the gas station. They get some honey buns. They get them a clear fruit. Clear fruit is the the sugar water, the water that got all the flavors in it. I don't know if they got that in the UK. You're like, oh, what is that? But it's like really flavor. Yeah. They get chips and stuff, whole bag. And I'm like, y'all eating that for breakfast?
Right.
And the
So
kids,
that is
go ahead.
where they get their sugar to be
Yeah,
able to hold their classes. Okay, I see that.
yeah, but it's just you know your kid, right? But there's so
Uh-huh.
many of them though. So many gas stations here, right? None of them are black owned, probably.
And that's interesting. I think I never had the opportunity to grow in a Black community or in a Black residential neighborhood. However, when I moved here to London, I made sure that I was in a predominantly like Black neighborhood in Southwest. And here you can see like most of the stores are not owned by Black people, although the community that lives here, like majority has been always Black people. So here is a place where they happen like the riots in the 1960s, like and all the fights against racism. It happened actually in this neighborhood. It's similar to Brooklyn in New York. And now it's like heavily gentrified, and you can see like there is, and something that also caught my attention here is that he does a distinction between Black community, sorry, between community and residential neighborhood. And I never had been able to acknowledge the difference, but now I see like in a residential neighborhood, there is no ownership by the majority that is living there. In a community, you have ownership, which means like an example that he was giving about like little Cuba or like little Haiti, you know, it, people from Cuban descent, they live there, or Cubans, and they also run their own businesses. That doesn't exist. I have not seen that in Europe. Like a little bit, like a small fraction in a couple of places here in London, but majority is other community owning stores. And I'm very happy that he was highlighting this because there is a differentiation that we need to be aware of ourselves.
I mean, again, you got the laundromats, you got the Chinese food stores, you got the gas stations. None of them are Black owned.
And then you go to the schools, then you go to like pharmacists, like more qualified ownership that you need to have. You need to have like the required license and everything. So then like if it was a probability for you to have like a Black owned pharmacist, I never have seen one in my life living in 10 years here in London. And also when I spent time in the US, in South Florida, I had never seen that.
So I wanted to ask you a question about like, well, I guess we can get to that part later. So then, well, how did we get here? So he talks about like integration and how integration took all of our best everything. It took our best athletes. I went to Norfolk State University. Norfolk State is in Southern Virginia, and it's in Hampton Roads. And Hampton Roads is a collection of 7 cities, right? And during slavery, and doing slavery, there was a lot of concentration of Black people there. And so there's Black schools there. There's historically Black houses there. And before integration, right? Those universities, those basketball games were popping. You know what I mean? Like, because they couldn't go to the predominantly white institutions. So in America, like basketball is like really, really like crazy, culturally important. It makes so much money, the NCAA.
Yeah.
But before like integration, all those athletes were in Black schools.
Right.
And
now they go to any school that they pay the best, I guess.
Absolutely. And because that's the equality, right? But equity is super important because when you just make it all equal, and like you said, I think that horizontal mindset, that horizontal paradigm where you put everybody in the same playing field, and also the philosophy I talked about last time, and you can pronounce this wrong. is it Horatio Algorithm?
Horatius, yeah. I think when he mentioned about the horizontal, if you, and he, in one of the pages, like he created like a horizontal, image. You can see the ceiling is like, in the image, you can see the ceiling, there is a button up and down, right? So horizontal is like this.
Let me go to it.
But then if we're looking to a pyramid, it is like this. So there is more space to grow. And that is something we can see only in the image. Like horizontal, you are keeping everybody in the same level, and once they're going to be a little bit up, once a little bit going to be down. But it's only one movement up and down, like in a very limited space. When we open the pyramid, then, you open a channel to be able to acquire wealth. And that is, yeah, we are a little bit far from that to happen.
Oh, that's interesting. So what made you turn the T into a pyramid? What made you think of that?
No, because he mentioned that. So he mentioned the T, right? So he mentioned the T, that is what we should be looking at, where like the T is like this. So it's like this.
Yeah.
And also when he's talking about horizontal, we can see that is that like this.
Mm-hmm.
So there is only one way. You have to like move this part to go up. Otherwise, you never can go up. It's like quite limited. And I found that very interesting. And coming back to your question, like how those changes are going to happen, one of the things he said on the first page of the book, he said drastic behavior changes.
Yeah.
Like if we don't change drastically and we really see the bigger picture outside the box, it's never going to happen. We cannot really think that society that benefits from Black people be at the bottom. They're going to feel like, oh, damn it, let me change this so
Yeah.
they don't need to be at the bottom. It's not, and at this point, it's not about color. I don't see like, it's not, oh, Black. It's just like someone is going to be at the bottom. And they have put Black people at the bottom. It's not because, we are less educated, which it can happen if you keep everybody in poverty. It's not like about our capabilities related to our race. It is about the social status that has been stagnant for such a long time. So,
Absolutely. So let's talk about ethno-aggregation, right? So that mindset, right? Because that's the paradigm shift he's offering. Unless you wanted to talk about something prior to that before we got into that.
no, one thing he mentioned, very important. One of the first keys of empowerment was empowerment culture. I thought like that was very important. That is in page 35. And I think like this negative Black culture, about like that we see a lot portrayed in songs like over sexualizing women or like talking about drugs, killings, gangs. That has helped the entertainment industry, but it really has no, I don't believe it has really helped the Black community as much as it could have, And there are some changes that it need to be in the society to be able, like we shouldn't be relying on entertainment only in those type of stories. Exactly when we were talking about Toy Boy. Toy Boy was the show?
Top Boy, yeah.
Yeah, Top Boy. Toy Boy. Top Boy. So when we were talking about that, I was like, yeah, but we need more stories. We need like to diversify the Black story, like the Black experience, because we are coming, we cannot only rely in that story, which is a true story. And it happened in our communities, but we really need to portray ourselves, in other experiences that is not only like violence, sex, gun, drugs relation. I thought that was important.
I got a question for you, and it's related. So do you think in America, and is this 50-50 chance, okay, do you think there are more Black men in college versus in prison?
Don't know. I know that the Black population in prison is 2 million. I don't really know what are the statistics. Do you have it? Let me know.
Yeah, I know. I just want you to guess. Like, take a guess off what you think based off
Uh,
like, your
no,
impression. That's the whole point of it.
I don't really know. I really hope there is more Black.
Get it wrong.
Man,
I ask this question always because I just want to prove a point. That's all. I'm not trying to say like you are, you know.
really?
Yeah.
There is more Black men in prison?
No, I just want you to guess. Take a guess.
My heart is breaking.
Oh no.
I'm gonna say in college.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. Tell me yes, I'm sweating. I'm just gonna drink water. Tell me.
You're correct.
If there is more Black, right?
Yeah.
I knew that because there is way more Black professionals. So I'm like, if it is 2 million in prison, that's the whole people should have now. So it was like, yes.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. But so I got that from a PD from Claud Nellum. He's an educator in Detroit, and he asked that to a group of teachers. I'm sorry, let me turn this off real quick.
Is that Clubhouse notifications?
That's the group. It's a group chat.
Okay. You got it now?
Yeah, I got it now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So you were telling me about that statistic.
Yeah, and so I heard. So pretty much everyone thought it was prison because of the stereotype, and that is the power of stereotypes. That it will make you think that there are more. You know what I'm saying? But people think that. You know, and they act off of that. And that's what you're saying. Like that's why we have to change that culture narrative so we can, you know.
You almost gave me a heart attack, by the way, because I was like, that cannot be possible. Phew.
No, but you
Yeah.
should. Almost everybody raised their hands to the prison part.
No, but I knew it wasn't because I was like I was like, first of all, why this question is related? But secondly, like, wait a second, no, it cannot be possible. Whew.
But okay, to make it better, I raised my hand. I thought it was more in prison. So, see?
You traitor. Wow. Okay.
All right, so let's get into paradigm shift, ethno-aggregation. So what did you think about this? Did you think that this was far-fetched? I think one thing I get confused sometimes, because I always talk about how, this book is used, but sometimes it can be used to be divisive. But I think it gets confused. People get confused with what he's saying. So, because he compares Black people to like immigrants, right? And he uses that comparison. And that can be, if you use that comparison, if you don't have the educated mind, you might think that they are the enemy when there might be competition, but they're not the enemy to you, right? And I think he's saying that you can't worry about them until you worry about yourself. But I think that gets clouded. But
Yeah.
we do need to have a sense of ethno-aggregation because of the constant, abuse and just everything that we've gone through. We need that organization in order for us to do anything, right?
Yeah. I think the first thing is important in order to preserve the identity, the sense of community as well. You cannot grow like as a lone wolf. It has to be the whole pack. It has to be the community. The dollar or the pound needs to bounce back in the community more than once, because otherwise it doesn't benefit the minority. And that is something like people needs to be aware and acknowledge. If you don't own a business, if and one of the things that is good, like living in a Black community or in a Black residential, is that I find, first of all, like I'm able like to shop, even though if it is in a small percentage, I'm able like to go to a Black owned restaurant or like a Black owned store. Like maybe, and there are like maybe three, four, five stores and a few more Black restaurants. So my pound, in your case, your dollar, it will bounce more. If I am all the way in a white community or in a Cuban community, it's not going to help my community at all, because I will be giving to others that they're able to build. And as you mentioned, it's not a sense of competition. It is a sense of like, there are like a lot of problems that is related only to the Black community. And I think especially for the African American community, I think like it's so hard. Like whilst you guys were fighting to be acknowledged as people, other communities were coming in and settling down. And they were settling down, but they were coming from, some people they were coming, they already come in a better situation. Maybe they didn't have the money, but they had an average of education of a Cuban person. They were all professionals coming in, so they are able to settle in. They are financially literate, which a lot of people in the Black community was lacking of that opportunity. Of like the knowledge. They were deprived of knowledge, and they were fighting to be acknowledged.
Destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And that is again the sense of identity. Like the Black community in North America, in the United States, has been on purpose destroyed. It has been divided and destroyed. Like there were rules and laws that they were applied. Jim Crow, for example, it's just like to make sure that there is no advancement of the Black community.
Right.
A Cuban didn't see that. And especially, for example, the Cubans that they were coming to South Florida, most of them, they are white Cubans. They're not like light skin or like dark skin Cubans. They are white Cubans. Again, they settle up, they have their community. Even my family coming from Haiti, because they were running from a dictatorship, their experience is totally different. And like Haitians, they settle up in Brooklyn. And most people, they were doing the job that they can. And a lot of them, they were like overqualified for that type of roles, but they had to do it as a community to be able to advance.
But can you blame them for taking advantage of capitalism? But can you hold them responsible for being a part of a system that perpetuates, You know,
you cannot be responsible when all these communities that they settle. First of all, when you leave your country as an immigrant, I can tell you that it's not an easy journey. You are going somewhere like hoping that you are going to find more opportunities. So you cannot, everybody's in survival mode. The problem is that the Black community in the US, it is in survival mode and never has been able to leave that survival mode, and that is the difference. But no one should be considered like, oh, Cubans are coming to take our jobs. No, first of all, because those jobs were not given to you. If they were given to you, you were not being paid. It's just like a totally different dynamic.
And so, and just to add to that, right? So this is what will happen, right? So you'll have someone who is part of the conscious community, right? And they'll take that same dynamic, which what we just talked about, of immigrants taking Black people jobs, and then they would use that to be like, that's why Trump needs to build a wall.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they'll take like the gems from this book, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they will misconstrue some corruptive, perverted stuff and mix the two to push out a narrative to really like get people to, become a part of a cult.
And I think like that is the sad part. It's just like we're all the time. Listen, the truth is like I don't think when colonialism started or slavery started, these people were not super smart and they envisioned a country, the build of a country like over 400 years. They didn't have a master plan. They didn't. Okay. They didn't. It's just like it has been working for them. Like, first of all, the people that came, like white people that went to United States, the funders, they were coming from people that they didn't have anything in England. That's why you left. It's not because you were rich, an aristocrat and all that. No, you came seeking the same opportunities that people is seeking right now. That is normal. You're always going to try to get a better start. And also, we're talking about capitalism, but we have also another thing that is called globalism. Okay. And that is important as well. Nowadays, the job is not being taken by you, by someone from other community. Most likely, that job is going to be taken by a machine that is owned by a company like that is like it's like trillion of dollars worth, like Amazon. That is your enemy. It's the machine that is going to be substituting you. Now, in the meantime, you can be fighting Mexicans with the wall. Yeah, get distracted with that narrative. But the real problem, it is like, that problem that has never been a problem has been also like America needed to continue be built by immigrants because they needed the workforce. That's why they had the immigration programs. It wasn't because like, we have such a great country, let's invite people to come here to join to the party. No, they were like, we need people to start running the backbone, and we cannot rely more on Black people because there are not that many. So let's bring immigrants, and that is what has been happening. However, they didn't change the laws. They were continue thinking that the enemy is the Black man. If that would have been removed like a long time ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. They were so focused.
Yeah, if we let go of that, do you think we probably would have had more of a vertical integration type system or mindset, maybe?
If racists were not ruling your country, it would have been a T. Yeah, exactly. I mean, sorry. I like America though.
So ethno-aggregation says, he said, it encourages Blacks to unify as a people, as an alternative to seeking to unite with others. It encourages Blacks to pool their resources. A fist has greater impact than 5 fingers, but a scattered group is like separate fingers.
Yes. Pool resources, very important. And there are a lot of cool things happening, especially in Atlanta. I do follow that. I even donated money for an own black supermarket in Atlanta. I'm all the way in London. But if I see something that is going to benefit a community that is I'm part of, even though I'm an immigrant, I'm like light skin, I'm mixed, whatever, I'm going to make sure that if I can, I'm going to help to build that part of the community. And a lot of people they don't know. And another thing, for example, that is happening, very important, financially. It is the first neo bank that is Black owned by
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was calling all my agenda, all my friends, like, yo, have you signed up to get that card? I work in finance and I work with neobanks. That is like a tremendous help that right now the Black community will have, because that means the Black dollar, or like the Black pound, in that case will be the Black dollar, it will bounce, it will be able to bounce. You will be able to go to a store, Black owned business. You will be able to pay your mortgage, your own, or like maybe your rent that hopefully you are paying to a Black owned owner. And then the money, the whole circle of the money, it would be always in Black owned. Because until now, even though if we were in a Black community, if we could, where we will be like buying, like paying rent, like using gas station, everything, if it was all Black owned, but the bank continue being from the majority, the whole dynamic will be incomplete. And that's why it's so important that Killer Mike has created this Black owned bank, and you should all be supporting. I'm just saying, I will, if I could, I try, but I need to be a citizen. So.
Wow. Thank you for your Pan-Africanism. And one United Bank is also Black-owned bank as well. I actually do have an account. Mm-hmm. I just need to practice what I preach a little bit more. So definitely,
good.
Yeah, definitely, cool, absolutely. So then, do you think if we establish ethno-aggregation as like a mantra, do you think the competition would be probably better? Because then, I mean, you're talking about like the cycle. So could you maybe just talk about that a little bit more? Like, why is that important to have that cycle in the community?
The cycle means that when you are, so every step of the way, like, okay, let's go. I take $1. I'm going to go to the corner shop. The corner shop is Black owned business. So part of the profit of that $1 is going to be to that Black owned business. That Black owned business, the store is owned by a Black owner. So part of the profit of the rent, it will go up to the Black owner. That Black owner has another multi-property and is paying back to the bank, because like loans and everything. And the bank is like Black owned. So that percentage, it will be relying in the community and building up. However, what is happening at the moment is like $1 Black goes to the corner store that is owned by someone from Pakistan or like India or whatever other nationality that is not part of the Black community. Then that dollar, it will start rotating in other communities, but not in the Black community. Hence, we cannot build if the bounce doesn't go, farther. And that is something like we need to be aware. And that is something like it relies on us. It doesn't really rely on like politicians. It doesn't rely on like, oh, that Black billionaire should be putting money in the community. No, that rely on me. Like when I'm buying a hair product, I make sure that my hair product is Black owned. When I'm buying like food, like during the weekend, I make sure that it's Black owned. When I'm buying my veggies, I go to a Black owned. In my case, because there is no Black owned like African American, it's just Black on. Like, you know, it can be the girls that they do my products, they can be Nigerian. So but they are part of the Black community in the UK. Or like the veggie store that I go, they are Somalians, but they're still Black people. So that is how the rotation goes. However, the problem is in that part is like that money will go into their own communities, but it's still okay. It's not a problem, but I would say that there is a subcategory between like Black because the Black family is so big, you know, the money will go in different ways. It's different like in an African American community. It will be different.
So then what's your thought on when he talks about moving towards voluntary separation?
So I just wanted to add something about the pool sources.
Okay.
Like putting the money together, because it's part of the ethno-aggregation. I don't know if you follow the stock market. Probably you have seen what is happening, even though if you don't follow it. So there were a group of people on Reddit, and they said like, okay, let's put money, and we're just going to, I don't want to say the word, but we're going to screw up, you know, these funds that they are like having like this type of practice. They destroy the market of GameStop. Like GameStop right now is like super high, the value. Imagine if Black people will have the same, not everybody, but imagine that a group of Black people will have the same prerogative, saying like, okay, you know, let's go. And I know, yeah, in the US, there's sometimes that they sell the whole city. Like I have seen advertised like, yeah, this city is on sale and it's like 1 million. So imagine if a group of people put the money and say like, let's buy the city. This is pool sourcing. And that is like how important it is. And no one should have to lead you to make that type of decision. It should be a community thing. So I think like that is very important to highlight as well, because we can see in practice how people, they don't know each other, but they do have the whole vision together. They are able to change a lot of things in the world.
Wow. Yeah, you said something that was really impactful. You said, don't listen to the individual, listen to the community, because you feel a little bit more safe and you probably won't get scammed neither. He says, regrouping Blacks through ethno-aggregation is necessary to counter the effects of individualism, which is a product of white supremacy, which teaches Blacks to oppose each other rather than pool resources and cooperate with one another. And so you have gentrification, right? And that's generally when people move out of the community and the value goes down, and then, you know, people, you know, take advantage of that and they bring it up based off of whatever they, you know, put into it. Roxanne Shante, I don't know if you know who she is, but she was a prominent hip hop woman rapper in New York. And she talks about regentrification and how that's the complete opposite, where you're coming in with the money, you're coming in with the capital, and you're coming into an environment that doesn't have that. And you're literally, you know, you're paying the property tax, you're paying the taxes there, you are, you know, building your house up, building the property value up. And that's not only on the quantitative significance of that, but it's more on the qualitative as well, because the kids that live in that community can see that, you know, and that inspiration builds. And she says that, you know, oh, that's Shantae's house. Oh, she's gonna, you know, go to her house. She might be able to help you. You know, like that, just that dynamic. Imagine that on scale.
That's exactly what it is, because right now you don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have, like, if you go around and you see like that sense of community, we
How is
don't
that
have
in the
that.
UK?
Sorry, what do you say?
I'm saying, how is that perspective in the UK? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So sorry, no, no, no. And I couldn't hear you. I think something came up. That perspective, I think, like, again, the UK is quite divided. So it's very difficult to see that. I don't know if potentially that will happen because the division, as I see here. But you can see that with other communities. Like, there are communities that they have the houses, the school, the doctor, and they're all together. And it's okay. It's not a problem. It is okay. And it makes sense. I think, like, when we see like people coming from other countries, right? Like, they are from Americans, that they go to Egypt to live, like, and they are called expats. They all live in the same community. They don't mix with like the locals. Usually, when you have like a community, international community, they all live like together because it's easy, the way that they the culture is easy for like communication and all that, and it is okay. So if it is permitted in other countries, how come it cannot be permitted in your own country? It's just,
Or just
wow.
why don't we as Black people? Well, I mean, we know why, right? Because of the stuff
Yeah.
we talked about, right? That was a great. Wow, that was good. Yeah. How you feel?
It's good. You see, I always say, like, we wouldn't be talking that much because it's not that much to talk. And then, like, oh, okay.
You were hitting it. You're dropping a lot of gems, and you're always coming in with the numbers, which I always appreciate. So, then, man, I had a question. Repeat that last part you said.
About the expats.
Yes, repeat that last part.
So when I was talking about the integration, like, how come we cannot integrate because it benefits? Yeah.
So a lot of criticism that integration gets is that we only socially integrated, and it was only one direction, right? It was just like Black people all now go to, because it was like, white. Because he talks about it, white. We said white is colder or something like that. White ice is colder or something like that, or just, man, what does he say? I don't want to.
What? I don't know.
Chapter 1.
Say in chapter 1.
White ice. Yeah, white ice is colder. And that mindset is very real, where we think that proximity to whiteness is success. So if we leave where we come from, then that is going to make us more successful. And you can see that not only in our money, right? Not only in our, like, where we live, but also in like our where we look as well. And the integration is only one directional though, because you don't see, you don't see
It's horizontal.
Right. And it's only socially. It's not economically. It's not in a political way, right? It's not in education, no way, right? Education is the most separate than it's ever been in parts. So integration is just a word to certain communities, but it's not reality.
Yeah. And I think one of the things is very important to distinguish is, like, at least in the UK right now, there is a push for everything to be diverse, diverse and inclusive. And it's very important. And he mentioned that it's like, but at the same time, we're talking about building Black communities. And he was questioning, like, why you will have, like, no, it seems like you want like the two ends of the stick, right? And he was mentioning, like, well, that is why you will ask. You want everything. You don't want to choose. You just want to.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You want the right to choose. You want to be treated with the same privilege and the same opportunities that the other communities. And I think, like, that is the very important thing, is that when we are talking about diversity and inclusion, there is a lot of communities that they will benefit, and they all have their own communities already. So you go up and you diversify, and I really feel like it's very rich to have a diverse room, because otherwise, it's like an echo chamber. You cannot grow if it is the same thing. So you must have people from all backgrounds to be able to build. And I think like that is very important. Like having a Black community means like having more opportunities for that community to grow and to grow up, to be able to sit down on the table that is going to be diversified, right? That is at least how I see it. I don't think like being pro-Black means like everything has to remain in the same community, because otherwise you are not giving back to the world. And in like you should have the exposure as well.
Yeah, and the problem with multiculturalism is that it's only based on equality and it's not on equity, right? And so
Yeah.
thinking equity, like what he said, the guy was like, Malcolm wants separation and Martin Luther King wants integration. And the dude is like, I shouldn't have to choose. I should be able to, I shouldn't have to pick. I should be able to have all, you know what I mean? Like every other culture does. But because you all colorblind, right? Put us in that same category, equality. You put us in the same category as the immigrants, and you say, okay, you got to compete with them because they're doing it too. But it's like if you thought through an equity lens, you will understand that it's not. We can't do the same. We need something much different than what you're giving them, and it's much more. We can't just be fighting over scraps as well. Like that's not what we need,
And also, like, we have to be careful to like go into the level of like victimizing Black people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, yes, there is a part that is victim, but there is other part that we, our own, are in charge of behavior. Like, we cannot rely everything on like, oh, because like what's the name? Kenya Harris. He always says like something like, oh yeah, because of slavery. I don't know if you watch the show that he has. It's not Blackish. The one that he has that he plays himself on the show on Netflix. I don't know. I don't remember the name. Oh yeah, Black as Fuck. Black AF.
Yeah.
So he always said like, because like, and yes, but we need to start thinking like there are other, when you come to a country and you are away from the community and everything, especially people that English is not even their first language. Even though you have the backbone of identity and education, you have to start from scratch. English is not my first language. When I came immigrated here, I had to start from scratch. Like I was a lawyer, it didn't matter because I had an accent. I had to start from zero. Now I see other people, right? That they went to school, they went to university, and they are not having as many like qualified roles as I have. But it is nothing to do because of race. At that point, it's also a cultural thing. How ambitious are you? How you would like to push yourself. What are your role models that you are choosing? I think if you consume all the time what media is portraying about Black people and continue being in the bubble of the community, all the kids will like to be an entertainer. Yeah, I want to be a rapper. I want to do this. Why? Because that is the only role of success that the Black community has until now. So it's so important to make sure that we also diversify on the top, that we are showing and portraying like different stories. Otherwise, we are never going to be able to grow.
Absolutely. So lastly, I think vertical integration is So vertical, we talked about vertical integration, but then you took the T and you broke it up and you turned it to a pyramid. So then what is the ideal model? We know that it has to go up, right? We know that in order for us to really get reparations, we need to change the legislator. So that means we need to have political power. We have political power. That means we have to have social capital. We have to have organization on the small level, right? In the neighborhoods, in the block club, right? And that translates also to economics, right? Because if we have economic power, we can fund people to run for us for our with our views, like they did in Puerto Rico. You know, that was a coalition of people that was like, we need you, as soon as you get in office, to declare a state of emergency for women and transgender women that are getting killed every week, right? You know, they needed that, or so we know that we need to go up. But what is the ideal shape look like to you?
I think for me, the ideal thing is what is happening in Atlanta. Atlanta has changed the Senate. Atlanta, not only Georgia, Atlanta. And why? Because they have a community. And that is a community that what should be replicated in other places. You need to have a strong community. Why? Because you will be able to raise leaders that they are in touch with what is happening. Know someone who doesn't know what the hell it is happening with the social like social disparities, or like the health system, justice system. No, if you, when it grows from the community, you know, it's going to be way easier for that person to do that job. Or you have someone like, I would say, Obama, who wasn't raised in that community, but made sure that learned of like what was happening, you know, and people trusted to like vote them. And I really think, like, I think Atlanta, for me, is a place that I have not been yet, but I would love to go, because it's just, it for me, it's like the Wakanda in North America. That is the vision that I have. And not all the cities, they have to be Black. They can be, you know, you need integration, especially in a place like United States that was built by three communities. The native Indian Americans, they had like the land. Black people, that has been the backbone. And then you need, there wouldn't be America without white people or Black people or Native Americans. And as soon as we acknowledge that three groups are equally important in the history, regardless of like the role that they play, they are equally important to embrace that part of the history in terms of like, be at peace, like that happened, but it doesn't have to continue being that way. So hopefully I see more Atlantas in my lifetime. I would love to see that though.
Yeah, and I think there are places, especially in the United States, where they have potential to be Atlanta. They just need that catalyst, right? They just need that spark. They might have the density, right? Detroit has a huge 85% of the city's Black. You understand what I mean? And we definitely used our social capital, and we turned the state blue as well. You know, and Detroit was a part of that. So much people outside of Detroit try to come in and try to disenfranchise our vote, but democracy prevailed. You know, but
you have
absolutely.
The mayor you have is like the woman, right?
The governor. So the governor, she's Governor Whitman, and then we have a mayor, Mayor Duncan, and he is pretty much, he's been in charge of this entire the remodeling of Detroit. You know, he's very controversial. You know, some people like him, some people don't. I don't really have an opinion on him. So far, he's been good. You know, but especially with the COVID response. The COVID response, I was very impressed. You know, even like the vaccines, he's rolling out the vaccines really fast. You know, and so, you know, I go off what people do. You know, some more than what I hear sometimes, and so. But like Philadelphia, right? They have huge Black population. New Orleans, you know, and so not, like you said, that integration is important, but we need that catalyst. You know, we need to have that organizer that's gonna. Because what I'm doing right now with my community, I just turned my whole block club virtual. I helped do that, you know, because we couldn't meet because everybody in my neighborhood is above 60. You know? So I'm like, we ain't gonna meet until 2025. So I'm like, damn, we gotta have virtual, you know. And so that took about months for us to get that together. I got some other younger brothers like me, and we organized it, and we had about 15 people come, you know, and it's gonna keep growing. But it's like simple things like that, like getting people updated. Like you said, there's so many things changing. We can't fall through the cracks because of we don't know. We have to be able to re-enter and provide the education and provide all the other things that come with that.
Especially nowadays we have internet.
That's
So
right.
it's not like we have to go to a Senate and sit down, or like wait. You can do that conversation that we're having. We can have it anytime. Well, time zone, I don't want to be up at 3 o'clock. But yeah, that is how it works. And I think it's a beautiful journey. Um, I'm very happy that we're able to sit down and discuss this book that a lot of people cannot get hold of it. Um, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's just like it really make it real that change can happen, and it's not, and it can start with like very little things.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, I mean, think of a wall, right? A wall it's a small brick, and you just put the bricks. But you got to take your time. You got to be organized. It's not going to come tomorrow.
nope,
It's not going
nope.
to come with a vote neither. All the time. Sometimes you have to push after that vote. And so I'm still learning. But this was great.
Me too.
This was great.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, man. This is gonna be kind of whack. I'm like, damn.
No whack. I didn't say whack. Don't say that.
I'm playing.
No, but I felt like no. I was like, well, it is very interesting. Yeah. No, it is. I think it's like when you have the right people to talk, you make it. The conversation always gets richer, right? So
I think it was small. But it was hefty. It was like small little things, but they were very, very.
yeah,
So in
yeah.
conclusion, as we wrap up, he says we have to look at the 4 keys of empowerment: an empowerment
Hmm.
culture, a vision, an ethno-aggregation paradigm, and a vertical integration paradigm. He says the 4, and so I'll read the first 2. So I'm on page 59 right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So I'll read the first 2, and you can do 3 and 4. How's that sound?
Go ahead.
All right, bet. So he says the empowerment tool presented and discussed in this chapter are interrelated, but should be used in the following sequence. So we have to follow the process according to Dr. Claud Anderson. He says the first one: establish an empowerment culture to foster mindsets, values, and codes of conduct that prohibit members from acting in violation of their own people's best interest. And I can say that is what Christopher Emvin talks about, cosmopolitanism. And that is literally the rules that you abide by as a culture, as a people, that you build. And the very simple rules, even in the classroom, very simple rules. We don't go outside of these rules. And if you violate these rules, here are the consequences. If you follow these rules, here are the rewards. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
2, acquire a group vision that articulates for us a clear picture, right? Keyword is clear. We struggle with that very hard, right? Clear picture of what Black America should be and what we can achieve. And that speaks for itself.
And I think like the vision part is the important thing that I mentioned before. That without a vision, you cannot move. You don't. It's like you don't have a guide. You don't know where you're going. So number 3 is use the ethno-aggregation paradigm. Paradigm. Can you say that word, please?
One more time.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
In order to combine the assets within our group to reach a group goal. Very important. Use the vertical integration paradigm to point out the direction in which we should travel. The vertical integration.
Yeah.
Pyramid T. That's good. I'm excited to see what's happening in chapter 3.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's what's up. You're not bored. You're excited. You dropping gems and numbers still. Yeah, absolutely. This was dope.
It was good. Yeah. Another one.
Lara Legros, she's here with us. And did I get it right this time?
You said it right. That's why I was like, surprised.
But this was really dope. Where can they find you? Okay, what you got coming up? Or if you don't want them to find you, it's all good. We could be here in about 2 weeks. Go ahead.
You can find me on Instagram at miss.legros. I do have a blog, but right now I have not been writing. I'm writing something, so it will be up soon regarding Haitian identity. Yeah, looking forward to connect with everybody.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's Simplicity, y'all. Appreciate y'all. We're about to get it. It's Sunday. Have a good Sunday, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Boom.
Is that off?